Thinking about monetizing your photography? You're gonna have a lot of company. Can it be done successfully? Yes, absolutely. And I've got 3 tips to really help you be successful. But first, coffee. But there's always a but, isn't there? What's the but in this case? You will have to work harder than anything you've ever tried before. No big deal, right? This is the next installment in my occasional series on making money with your photography. I'll link to the previous video at the end of this video and in the comments below. In my opinion, there are 3 main things you have to do to monetize your photography, make money from your photography, turn pro, however you want to define it. And it really doesn't matter what segment or niche of photography you're in. I think these 3 things still apply. Before you even think about these 3 steps though, if you are on the beginner end of the spectrum, I would suggest the absolute first thing you need to do before you even take these 3 steps is to know your basics back to front. And by the basics, I mean exposure, all facets of exposure, gear, equipment, and lighting too to some degree. If you are not 100% on your exposure, I have a 14-page guide on the rudiments of exposure that really will help you go back to front. I'll link to it in the comments of this video as well. I strongly suggest before you think about monetizing your photography, get those basics really strong back to front. All right, step 1. My advice, and this is really important, is to become as thoroughly versed, skillful, understanding of whatever niche or segment of photography you are looking to get into, whether it's landscape photography, wedding photography, portrait photography, commercial, whatever it is. You have to be extremely versed in what that segment of photography looks like in today's market. I've given this advice in previous videos and it still stands. My best advice to you is if you are absolutely cold trying to go into monetizing your photography and you're choosing a segment, spend some time with someone who does it. Find a mentor, work for cheap, do anything you can to get some experience and understand the segment of photography you're trying to get into. I cannot stress enough how knowledge gained is profit. Before you can have profit in the bank, you have to have profit of knowledge. You have to have an understanding of what it looks like to do what you're trying to do. I'm sure this makes sense to you, but a lot of people rush in and figure, I'll figure it out on my own. And you may, but I can guarantee you it will take 10 times longer and you will probably spend a lot more money and time taking the I'll figure it out route than asking someone who's already where you want to be. Okay, step 2. Dedicate yourself, and I mean dedicate yourself to understanding the ins and outs of how you make money in the segment of photography you're looking at, where the money comes from, where it goes out to. And if you don't think money goes out, let me tell you, money goes out as soon as you open your eyes in the morning as a photographer. That fancy camera you've got in your hand, it's now got to sing for its supper. So there's your number 1 expense. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're coming into the business with the camera now is depreciating every shutter click you do. Every time you use it for work, it's getting older. You're gonna need to replace it someday. And you can't do that if you're not profitable. Your time is money. Don't give it away and don't waste it. I completely understand, especially in the beginning, that you will have to do some things for free. Make sure that you're doing it strategically. Make sure that anytime you do that, you are advancing your skills and career and business and not the person asking for the freebie. You will find that you will hear the phrase, "Oh, I'll trade exposure for time." Exposure is in your camera, my friend. It is not in the bank. I'm going to tell you right now, that is the one thing that I've seen so many photographers do, and it's so painful. Don't give away your time. Make sure when you spend time on something in your photography, it is advancing your business, career, knowledge, something. Your connections. It's okay to advance your connections if these are connections that actually can lead to payment. Be strategic. Know your numbers back to front. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, would you consider giving it a like? And if you hadn't already, would you consider subscribing? It really helps the channel. Thank you. Step number 3, study your segment endlessly and find a way to be different and stand out in that segment. You have to give potential clients a really good reason, a really good why they should choose you. And I'm going to say something that's probably pretty controversial here. It's more important to be different than it is to be the best. Of course, you should always strive to be the best, knowing you'll never get there, but you can be different. You can do something different to stand out in such a crowded marketplace. You have to be memorable to be successful. Okay, I've got a bonus 4th tip for you. This is something you may not have thought of, but you are the product of your business as much or more than your photography is. Clients buy you every bit as much as they buy your photography. This is a hard-earned lesson for many photographers. In my very first business conference, one of my very first mentors cracked a joke at the beginning of the session, and she said, "If you're an introvert, you're going to have to get a personality transplant to be successful in here." And that has stuck with me through all the years of my career because it's absolutely true. If someone doesn't like you, they will never buy your photography. Okay, there's 4 tips, but I'm sure you can tell behind those 4 tips, there's a lot of thought and homework to do, right? I guarantee you those 4 tips are something I still work on every day, and I don't think I'll ever not be working on those as long as I'm working in this business. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. As always, I'm open to questions. Until the next video, cheers.